They said you changed, but they never saw what they did to you. You were never cold, they just burned your warmth. And now all that's left is silence, not weakness, but control. Because sometimes the quiet ones are not broken, they're rebuilt. There was a time you gave everything, your time, your love, your energy. You believed that kindness could heal people. You believed that loyalty could protect you. You showed up when nobody asked. You stayed when others left. You carried people through storms they created, and still said, "It's okay." You forgave when you shouldn't have, and you gave when you had nothing left to give. But the world taught you differently, didn't it? They took your warmth and called it weakness. They drained your energy and blamed you for being empty. They mocked your silence, not knowing that silence was your last act of strength. You see, people don't destroy you all at once. They do it slowly, piece by piece, smile by smile, promise by promise, until one day you wake up and realize the person in the mirror doesn't look familiar anymore. The light in your eyes dimmed, the fire in your chest gone. You used to burn like the sun. Now you move like the moon, calm, distant, untouchable, not because you stopped caring, but because caring too much almost killed you. There's a strange kind of peace that comes when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop proving your worth, when you finally understand that not everyone deserves the softest parts of you. Because the truth is, you are never cold. You just learn the cost of being warm in a world that feeds on it. Let them call you distant. Let them call you emotionless. You know the truth. You built walls not to keep people out, but to protect what's left of you. You stopped chasing people. You stopped arguing with fools. You stopped showing up where your presence was only tolerated, not valued. And now they say, you've changed. But what they don't understand is, that's not change. That's growth. That's rebirth. That's what happens when the fire that once burned for others starts burning for yourself. Remember this. The strongest people are not those who fight the loudest battles. They are the ones who bleed quietly and still stand tall the next morning. You learn to smile without joy, to walk without support, to trust without guarantees, and to love without expecting anything in return. That's strength. That's power. That's what they can't break anymore. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." And maybe that's what your life taught you. That peace isn't found in people. It's found in detachment, in walking away without turning back, in choosing silence over chaos and discipline over emotion. You started to understand not everyone deserves a response. Not every wound deserves attention. Some things heal only when left untouched. That's what Stoicism is. Not suppressing emotion, but mastering it. Not being heartless, but being untouchable. When you stop reacting, you gain power. When you stop explaining, you gain peace. And when you stop chasing, you gain clarity. That's when people start fearing your silence. Because silence with self-control is louder than any scream. Now you rise differently, not to impress, not to prove, but to protect your peace. You used to fight for attention. Now you fight for alignment. You used to run after people. Now you walk alone without fear. Because you've learned that peace is expensive, and not everyone can afford the silence it takes to keep it. You don't argue anymore because you've seen what silence can do. Silence doesn't mean defeat. It means you've matured beyond noise. You've learned that reacting gives them power, but staying calm keeps yours. You don't beg anymore because you've learned that loyalty can't be forced. Real ones don't need reminders. They don't need explanations. They show up. They stay. They protect your name when you're not around. And those who don't, they were never with you, only around you. You don't chase anymore because what's meant for you doesn't run. You've learned that forcing connections only drains your soul. Sometimes losing people is the most powerful act of self-respect. Now you observe instead of react. You understand instead of complain. And you walk away instead of fight battles that no longer deserve your fire. That's not coldness. That's clarity. You've simply realized your energy is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. You've become the person who can stand alone in the storm and still breathe calmly. The world shakes around you, but your soul remains still. That's mastery, not over others, but over yourself. You no longer crave attention, validation, or recognition. Because now you know your value doesn't depend on who notices it. You've outgrown the need to be understood. You've replaced it with the peace of being unfazed. They burned your warmth, but they also forged your strength. They made you question everything, but in that questioning, you found yourself. They made you fall, but in that fall, you learned how to rise in silence. You became the storm they once feared. You became the calm they can't disturb. You became the silence that screams louder than their noise. People often mistake peace for weakness, but peace is power restrained. Peace is fire in chains. Peace is what comes after chaos, when you realize you don't need to fight every battle to win the war. Now you know, not every victory needs noise. Some victories are silent, the kind that happens when you walk away, when you protect your energy, when you let karma do the talking, and when they call you heartless, smile, because it takes a lot of heart to survive that kind of pain and still choose peace. You were never cold. You were healing in silence. You were rebuilding in shadows. And now, you are no longer the fire that warms everyone. You are the flame that no one can touch. Remember, they didn't destroy you. They just taught you how to rise differently, colder, calmer, wiser, and untouchable. So the next time someone says, "You've changed," look them in the eye and say, "No, I just stopped dying for people who wouldn't even live for me."